Hi guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to review themed video. And today we talk about Squid Game. When Squid Game was released in 2021, it quickly became one of Netflix's biggest global phenomena. The show seemed to arrive at the perfect cultural moment, a time when audience were looking for thrilling stories, but also for something that reflected the growing inequalities in our societies. While Squid Game certainly delivered on entertainment, it also sparked intense debate. Some people see it as a powerful critique of capitalism and human greed, while others argue it is overly simplistic, overly violent, or even hypocritical. I want to explore both sides of that argument. First, let's talk about what Squid Game does very well. The concept itself is brilliant in its simplicity, a deadly competition disguised as children's games. The contrast between innocent playground activities and the life or death stakes is unsettling and effective. It forces viewers to reflect on how desperate people can become when they have no hope in the real world. The show uses bright colors, eerie music, and created sets to create a dreamlike yet disturbing atmosphere. It's visually unique. You can recognize a Squid Game image instantly. The characters are another strong point. Especially in the first half of the season, we meet Song Gi-hoon, a man drowning in debt and personal failures. We meet Kang Si-byuk, a North Korean defector, trying to provide for her family. We see an elderly man, Oh Second-nam, who seems harmless at first but later reveals a much darker truth. These characters allow us to see different faces of the desperation. People trapped by gambling addiction, by the cruelty of the immigration system, or by simple bad luck. For many viewers, this diversity of backgrounds gave to show emotional weight beyond the blood and shock value. However, this is where the criticism begins. While the characters are initially rich and layered, by the middle of the series, the story starts to simplify them into symbols. Gi-hoon becomes the good man who refuses to lose his humanity, saying who becomes the corrupted man who betrays his friends for survival. The show frames this is a moral choice. You either keep your humanity and die, or sacrifice your morality and life. But real life is rarely that black and white. In this sense, Squid Game simplifies the complexity of human survival instincts, turning them into a moral lesson rather than a deep exploration. The violence is another dividing factor. Some critics argue that the show's brutality is justified. After all, it's meant to shock us into recognizing the cruelty of the world. Others believe that Squid Game sometimes crosses the line into explosion, the slow motion deaths, the exaggerated blood. The repeated close-ups can start to feel less like a critic of violence and more like an indulgence in it. The questions becomes, is the show condemning this kind of spectacle, or is it just giving the audience exactly the kind of spectacle it claims to criticize? Another major point of criticism is the show's handling of its message about capitalism. The Squid Game clearly wants to be a metaphor for the brutal competition of real-world economics, where the rich exploit the poor for entertainment of profit. This is a strong theme, and inclusion of the masked VIPs, VLT from foreigners who watch and bet on the games is supposed to make it obvious, but many viewers found the VIP scenes awkward, cartoonish and poorly acted, which weakened the impact of the message. Instead of chilling, they came off as ridiculous, almost comedic, which undermines the seriousness of the theme. Some also point out to irony of Squid Game becoming one of Netflix's biggest commercial successes. The show criticizes the commodification of human suffering, yet it became a product that made millions for a streaming giant. We know Squid Game customs, merchandise, and even reality show spin-offs. In other words, the critic has itself been absorbed by the capitalist system it wanted to be challenged. This doesn't necessarily mean the creator's vision was invalid, but it does raise questions about whether a critic can survive when it becomes part of the very machine it criticizes. The patience of the show is another aspect worth discussing. The first few episodes are tight and tense, with every moment adding to the suspense. However, around episode 7, the momentum slows down. There are long scenes with the VIPs that feel unnecessary, and some subplots, like the police officer infiltrating the game, are left unresolved. This creates a sense that the series was trying to set up future seasons rather than delivering a fully satisfying self-contained story. Despite these flaws, Squid Game has an undeniable cultural value. It opened doors for more international content to gain mainstream attention, proving that audiences will watch shows in other language if the story is compelling enough. It also sparked important conversations about debt and inequality and the extreme pressures faced by the working class. Even people who criticize the execution of its message admit that it started discussions that might not have happened otherwise. In the end, Squid Game is a bit of paradox. It's but a sharp social commentary and glossy entertainment product. It's a show that condemns spectacle while being a spectacle. It invites us to question the morality of profiting from human desperation, even as Netflix profits from it. For some viewers, that tension makes the show even more interesting. It forces us to confront our own role as consumers of violent entertainment. For others, it's a sign that the show couldn't truly escape the system it wanted to criticize. Whether you see it as a masterpiece or as overhyped, Squid Games is hard to ignore. It's not perfect. The writing has its weak points. The moral lessons can be heavy-handed, and the violence is not for everyone, but it managed to leave a mark on global pop culture in a way few shows ever do. Perhaps its biggest success was not in providing answers, but in making millions of people around the world ask the same uncomfortable questions. How far would you go for money? What would you do to survive? And maybe most importantly, are we really any different from the VIPs watching from the comfort of their luxury rooms? Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. Bye.